broken this ceasefire. He killed our people, and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the President for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Count one.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring people, you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems, even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future.
A few days ago, I made a video about how much I was ashamed of my country because of Donald Trump and his followers. What happened on February 28, 2025 has done nothing but amplified that shame. By now, all of you have seen clips of the meeting between Vladimir Zelensky, President of Ukraine, and Putin's whore, Donald Trump, and his sidekick, J.D. Vance.
In the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless. God bless. You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly
this. You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. But right now, you don't. You're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives.
What you saw with that meeting between the three of them is what happens when a true leader refuses to back down to two bullies. Two bullies who seem to be more interested in trying to focus the Ukrainian president to heap praise on a wannabe dictator who admires autocrats than actually focusing on how to end the war and save lives.
The lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country, that's backed you far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once? This entire meeting? No, in this entire meeting, have you said thank you? You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war,
He's not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country is in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a minute. No. You've done a lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
It makes sense that the people who view Trump as strong, when he's one of the most weakest, most insecure human beings that I've ever seen, and making the United States look tough, which is pathetic. It made the United States look like a weak puppet of Putin, and the Russian president gleefully celebrated Trump saying words to Zelensky that he would never have the balls to say to a Russian dictator.
He's not speaking loudly. Your country is in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a minute. No. You've done a lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning. You're not winning this. you have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of us.
Mr. President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
you haven't
in
been
this
allowed.
cabinet,
you
and
haven't
not
been
only
allowed.
in this cabinet.
We gave you, through this stupid president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military equipment, and you men are brave, but they had to use our military.
Yes. What about
if you didn't have our military equipment,
you invited me
if you didn't have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3 days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something
maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this.
Again,
I tell you.
just say thank you.
I said a lot of times
that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong.
This fervor gives me the idea that Putin has something on Trump. And it has to be something big for him to do something like this on the international stage. That's how you can always tell a bully. They talk big and bad when they feel powerful, but they're cowards when faced with somebody they feel is more powerful than they are. And it's clear that Trump thinks Putin is more powerful. The same people who think Trump looks strong today are probably the same people who think the bully picking on somebody weaker than themselves looks strong. True strength, in my view, isn't trying to leverage your power over those who you feel are weaker than you. It's having that power but choosing to help others rather than exploit them, because that's the right thing to do. This country used to be governed that way. That's a big part of what made the United States great. We had, and note that I'm using that word in the past tense, had morals and values. What we saw on February 28th, 2025 is shameful and embarrassing. An American president effectively doing the job of a Russian tyrant. A Russian tyrant using Donald Trump as a useful idiot who wants nothing more than see the United States fail and destroyed. I don't care what your political views are at this point. I really don't. I don't care if you voted for Trump 3 times. I don't care if you voted for Harris and Biden and Obama. Because this is not about Democrats versus Republicans, liberals versus conservatives, blue versus red. But let me tell you something right now. In the time that I followed politics since the election of Barack Obama, I know a hell of a lot more about politics and history and government than your average Donald Trump supporter. And let me make it clear again. This isn't about politics. It's about the first time in my life watching a president of this country try to bully an ally for the sake of a dictator who hates this country. So I ask this question. What the hell kind of country is Trump trying to make? One where everyone hates us? One where our only allies are the totalitarian dictators? One where traveling internationally has become incredibly dangerous for Americans? Because people detest the fact that we are from America? One where we bully and threaten allies while defending our enemies? One where only doing the right thing if we can exploit those we're trying to help. I really want to know what kind of country that Donald Trump is trying to create. Because they talk a lot about making America great again, but I can promise you this, nothing Trump is doing resembles anything this country has ever been at any moment of greatness. In fact, Donald Trump has buried the greatness of America. And if you really think Donald Trump is making people respect this country again, you need to really talk about what respect actually means. People might fear Trump because he happens to be the president of the most powerful military on the planet. But there is a damn giant difference between respect and fear. Now, Donald Trump was never taught this. And I think a lot of his followers were never taught this, considering the fact of what they've done to those who don't support Trump. You earn respect. You bully people to get fear. I'm not exaggerating when I say this. And frankly, I'm going to keep saying it as long as Donald Trump is in office. This was a shameful display for our country. And I don't hate the people for doing this, but I feel truly sorry for the people who watch this and think that Donald Trump is some kind of strong man, some kind of tough guy, because they don't realize or even care what it means, because you're so brainwashed by this man. And you're brainwashed by your family or your friends who worship Donald Trump. But I'm going to lay the gauntlet right now about this. You can either be a patriot who defends and respects the United States, its Constitution, its freedoms, and its values, the values that this country was built on, or you can be a Donald Trump supporter. You can't be both. It's either America or Trump. You can't be both. And I'm ashamed, and the biggest shame of that for this whole thing is I have to actually say something like that. Because if this were any other time, the answer would be obvious. The answer would be, I'm for America. Mark Twain himself once said, loyalty to country always, loyalty to government when it deserves it. Donald Trump has done nothing to earn our loyalty. In the last few weeks since he regained power, he has done everything he can to show us he does not deserve our loyalty or our respect. And the cherry on top of that was what happened when Vladimir Zelensky actually came to the White House. The clips you saw. I am ashamed of my country and its government. And the fact is, I'm going to continue to be ashamed until Donald Trump is removed from office and we can excise the shame of this now. It's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate that I have to talk about things like this. But look where we are. We're trapped with a president who cares more about pleasing dictators than he is about actually doing the work of governance for our country. He has destroyed our reputation internationally to the point where I don't think any of us can go overseas for a vacation and identify ourselves as Americans. Our own allies probably won't even trust us any longer, considering the fact of what happened on that Friday. While Donald Trump and J.D. Vance were doing the work of Vladimir Putin. It's unfortunate that Trump and Vance don't have the balls to say everything they did and said to Zelensky, to Putin. This country has become collaborators with a dictator. That is my shame. And that is what you brought on this country, Donald Trump. And we will never forget nor forgive. CTP, know the truth. God bless. Peace to the left, justice to the right.